Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Good day, mates.
Yes, we still have a podcast.
Whew.
It's been a minute.
Sure.
We thought we would hit episode 100 like in March sometime.
The people have been clamoring.
Here we are.
Clamoring for more.
Here we are in June.
Yep.
It's been a rough few months.
Catch me up on you, babe. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
Cheers to hopefully remembering how to podcast.
Sure.
The baby's asleep. We're drinking wine.
You've already had a few.
You didn't even realize that I
Sunday
already had
night,
a few.
Sunday night drinking.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
To all the fathers out there and father figures. This was part of your Father's Day request, was to podcast again, kind of. You've been asking for a few weeks.
Sure, we can count that as a gift.
The other gift was another thing that was like, is that a gift? Is that like I cleaned the bathrooms after a while?
Right.
Was getting to be a little bit of like a health hazard. The level of filth.
Especially since I work from home.
Yeah.
What if HR had come into the home and OSHA had been like, no.
Yeah.
You have to go back in the office.
You might get some sort of black mold from your own bathroom.
It's in your best interest to get back to the office.
Yeah. Anyways, here we are.
We're here.
We actually had a pretty good day.
Summertime.
Very rainy.
So we're going to have like a catch-up episode?
Yeah, I feel like we always end up doing these after we've
Heather's
been away
brought
for
out
a
like
minute.
a middle school 5-star notebook
I
here.
literally stole this from my job at a middle school. My
Former
old
job.
Yes.
You need a separate podcast for teaching and pedagogy and all sorts of things.
I think I would have gotten fired a lot earlier than I did
If someone had found your podcast.
Yeah. If someone had found this podcast, probably. But
yeah, we're all living on the edge.
yeah. I don't know how much the listeners care about my job situation.
Not a lot, I don't think.
I would just use it as an excuse for the reason we've been away for so long. Is
Correct.
That this end of the year was tough, and I kind of forgot all of my hobbies in the past few months.
Mm-hmm.
Was really just focusing on surviving through the end of the school year.
You made it.
I'm just limping, literally limping.
Literally,
crawling,
she was limping the last week.
Many injuries, illnesses between me and you and the baby.
Yep. I was sick.
Weren't you sick? Was it just me?
No Lyme disease this year, at least. Oh, I forgot to put out the ant trap.
I was looking. I just saw that as
We're
well.
so homey.
Such suburbanites now.
So in terms of the podcast, though, we've got a plan. We've got a loose agenda for tonight. We've got episodes planned out.
We actually have 3 episodes that we're like ready to do in the near future, and another like 3 like half episodes.
We might have to record remotely if we're traveling.
In front of our families?
Special guests.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
We'll have to think about that. We'll see.
If we get advertisers,
You gonna pack up this microphone?
If we get advertisers,
is there space in the car?
We have to provide content. We are the product.
Hopefully soon we'll have some exciting news we can share about some of your projects, babe.
Lips are sealed right now, though.
Zip.
Mm-hmm.
That was me
She
throwing
threw it
away
away.
a key. Although a zipper, I didn't put a lock on it. A zipper doesn't usually have a key. You're supposed to turn
Typically
it.
not. That would make
You're supposed to.
raincoats and sweatshirts
And
quite
jeans.
jeans.
You're supposed to. I'm like mixing my visual metaphors now.
That's
now
what
I
you've
always
moved on
mix
to.
my verbal metaphors. You're supposed to lock it and then toss the key, or you zip it. You don't do both.
Yep.
Anyways.
Well, I'll get my notes while you work through that.
So this is an episode 98. You said?
98 or 99?
I think it's 98.
98.
Because I remember back in March being like, can we do 3 between now and spring break? Yeah, we should be able to do that. And then just like, no, everything got harder towards the end of the school year.
Last thing we talked about was Last Black Man in San Francisco. Great movie. Wish we had seen it earlier.
Shut up.
And such a fun age.
Yeah, so we should really be doing a similar episode today because yesterday was Juneteenth.
It was. What's your overall thoughts and feelings about the holidayization of it?
I think I see some merit in that if it makes people who had not heard of it before, because like you know how things are with your bubble. Socially
not
and
until
on
I
the
watched
internet.
not until I watched Atlanta did Donald Glover introduce? I thought he made up Juneteenth. I thought it was a made up thing.
Yeah, so I think we kind of forget sometimes that like a lot of America has not heard of a lot of these things. I mean, we grew up in a very white area, so it's
I was gonna say, as we learned at our first patio dinner last night, there are people who travel to the South for the plantation experience. So there are,
And you didn't know that. I knew that at least.
I knew that it was a wedding destination for a lot of people. I just kind of hoped that it wasn't a tourist destination for like family vacations.
Like a history tour. So I think it has merit in that a lot of people that might not have had black people in their lives to tell them about Juneteenth, or have seen it they don't consume the right type of media that they would learn about it. It will make them go, what the hell is Juneteenth? And like Google it. So I would hope that it like sheds, it attracts, I don't know how to put it. It makes people get educated about it. Because if all of a sudden their company is saying you have Juneteenth off, maybe the company educates them, or maybe they think to look it up. However, I don't think white people should have the day off.
That was my my hot take last year, was that people who it's relevant for should be allowed to have that day excused, just as you would for a Jewish person who says this is one of my high holidays. I'm equating it at that point
culturally, I suppose. Because like if we wanted to go to like the St. Paul Juneteenth like public celebration, we could celebrate that way if we're going to like do it in a good faith way.
Same for me with if you get rid of Columbus Day and call it Indigenous Peoples Day, give those people a day off. If you're trying to honor them, let those people be the people to enjoy a holiday. Don't just make it a long weekend to improve business.
I feel like it should be more like some companies observe Martin Luther King Jr. Day by having it be a day of service. So if you want to do a service day, you can have the day off. Otherwise, you can work. And I kind of feel like it should be similar to that, where it's like, if you would like to go and like educate yourself, or like donate money, or go do service to a community,
I think whichever president or whoever got rid of Memorial Day being on May 30th, which is personal to me because of birthday reasons, and said it needs to be a Monday holiday to kick off summer, I feel like that was the beginning of the end of federal holidays. You're admitting that it's purely to create a long weekend, to create some sort of image of And I've converted you now to team get rid of 4th of July. You're looking for a replacement.
Yeah, last year
we had a great episode.
It did not feel right.
I had a great rant about
previous years. I was kind of like, well, like things aren't perfect with America, but it's a good excuse to have a themed party.
Sure.
And last year, I was just like, fuck no, I am not celebrating our country right now when so many people are just
Hamilton
so blind.
In a different decade, it was. Whew.
Yeah. So I don't feel like Juneteenth is ours to celebrate. It feels very appropriation-y to celebrate Juneteenth. In a celebratory way, if we want to like, educate ourselves or watch a movie, or like I said, if we wanted to go to something put on by members of that community, that would be one thing. But I don't feel right celebrating July 4th either, so I don't know. The biggest thing that I saw, the biggest criticism of it that I saw was
Flag Day. Is that better?
I don't think so. It's not all just about like pledge allegiance to the flag. Like other countries think that's so fucked up that we do that our kids have to learn that. I mean, the Juneteenth thing this year was just like such a slap in the face, it felt like, because they're like trying to ban critical race theory, even though people don't even know what the fuck that is. They're trying to ban you from teaching that in schools, but they're saying we're going to make this a holiday. People were saying it's the first holiday teachers will legally not be allowed to tell their kids what the holiday is.
Yeah.
And so and with the voters' rights issues and things, it's like they just want to like slap a pretty label on it and make it look like progress, and not do anything that would actually have any consequences for anybody.
Yeah.
And also,
same as calling it Martin Luther King Day.
Also, when you look at the demographics of like the office workers who will have the day off, and the like essential workers and service workers that will still have to work, it's majority white people that would have the day off, and majority black and brown and Latinx, whatever folks that would have to work anyways if they work at like a fast food place or retail or something.
Capitalism, babe.
It's the worst. It's the root of all of our problems.
Well then, that was an introduction.
Welcome back to the podcast.
We are just as jovial as ever. Do you have any good news or bad news?
Oh fuck.
We've been off for like 3 months.
I would say my good news and bad news are probably really not relevant anymore.
So the number one thing I kept on my notes for the last 3 months was 2 words. Homeward Bound.
What about it?
Remember we watched the trailer for, like, the original Homeward Bound and how scarring that was?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Was it on a streaming service? I forget.
It was, like, on Disney Plus. It was like a
Disney
commercial
Plus.
advertising it.
It was, like, sort of the same plot, but really not at all. And there was a man, an old man. Did the animals not talk? It was very disturbing.
Old man, like, just left the animals and dropped them off in the mountains or something?
Yeah.
But he left them on purpose and, like...
Yeah.
I don't know. It was creepy.
Credit to whatever screenwriter took that and was like, we're going to turn this into a family classic.
Yeah.
Well done.
I mean, I was going to relate to the movie we watched last night. I haven't seen the original, but I assume the original is decently different.
I already forget what we
You
watched.
already forgot? You have 2 sips of wine and you have memory loss?
Last night, we watched... Yeah, I remember.
You want to save it for later?
Yeah.
Okay. I do have some newses. They're old, but I guess I can
It's just
still
lightning
use them.
around.
These were just things I saw on Twitter like 3 months ago. Someone called it an attack
It's a
on...
great name for this part of the show.
Twitter from 3 months ago. Someone called it an attack on biology for using gender-neutral language.
Biology. I don't subscribe to that. I've been very staunch in my opinion that fully supportive of the transgender movement and people who transition, but I do believe that everyone is assigned a sex at birth, unless you are intersex.
Sure.
So I've never been opposed to having on, like, your license, it's saying what sex you are.
Are you in favor of people changing it, though?
Yeah.
Like, if someone is transgender and they don't have a surgery, how would that factor in?
I guess it's more for me and babies, and just admitting that they do have a sex at first and their gender can be fluid after that.
I mean, a lot of people are using the language now, assigned sex at birth.
Right. That's fine. Yeah, why is later on using they, them an affront to biology?
I don't know. And it's especially annoying because I'm sure, I don't remember this context of this because, like I said, 3 months ago, but I'm sure the person who said it is the one who's like an anti-vaxxer and pro-lifer and all of this. Like, they just choose when it's okay to tell people what to do with their bodies and choose when it's not okay. They choose when to believe in science and when not to.
Oh, honey.
Also, a similar one that there was an ad for tampons, and a male obviously said that it was obscene imagery because it was a picture of a tampon.
Wow. Man, I mean, I get uncomfortable digging through your purse, but that's something I'm doing the work on that.
Do you find it obscene, or do you just find it like kind of gross?
Unsettling.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's different, I guess. I did uncover my notes from 1,000 years ago. That's what I'm going through. So,
Gotcha.
This was bad news at the time, but I think it's now switched to good news. The new pipeline that got blocked.
Okay, it was one of those protests was successful, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's like 3 other ones, like Keystone and
Right.
DAPL, and there's a couple, but one of them successfully got blocked.
Okay.
But there's another one in Minnesota, line 3, that has not got blocked yet.
Okay.
I forget which ones, but one of them was successful. I guess that's my good news.
Oh, okay. Bad news is we were just looking at your browser tabs on your devices, and it makes me unsettled.
Do you want to know how many there are?
I do not. No.
Okay.
I
spent much of the last week and weekend doing an extensive Google Drive backup and cleanup.
I told you up front, I'm going to tell the audience that it turned me on. The way you were talking about zips, extracting zips, having multiple backup copies, getting a physical backup copy. There's a rule of 3. You have to keep 3 copies of everything, and at least 2 need to be in a different physical location in case it burns down.
So I need to make another file of that copy of that thumb drive
Or
and send it to my parents?
We need to throw it somewhere.
In the woods. In our bunker that we're going to make.
Space Jam 2 with LeBron James. I have no idea if it's coming out or not. I saw one trailer. Seems a little strange that it's supposed to be a big movie, and I don't know.
Well, so many things with COVID got pushed with
Probably.
releases and stuff. But I have a couple of upcoming things that one of them has now already happened. This was the other one, though. Reminded me. We were making a list of TV shows. Kevin Can Fuck Himself.
With
that
Annie.
one with Annie Murphy on AMC. I don't know where to watch it, though. That was one I was interested to watch. But
my biggest good news of the last 3 months.
Roku? We already talked about Roku.
Is related to some good news.
bet it's over.
They officially announced that they're not going to try to reincarnate it, despite CBS buying it for like $20 million or something. It brought me so much joy that people admitted that it was like, oh, it's a YouTube clip show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only funny thing about it was that it was John Krasinski.
Yeah.
Like trying to repackage it any other way. It's just a YouTube channel.
My worst bad news is Rit Momney. Everything about that song, that name.
Yep. I have a lot of like moral, ethical problems with it. It's a black woman's song that he has now taken over.
Yeah.
He's like an annoying white dude from Utah. And he has no other hits or songs.
Just an appalling name. I have so many hot takes on music. Did I take Foo Fighters off my notes? Those Foo Fighter songs that they played on the radio, I am so grateful that they have gotten out of rotation. I did not like those songs. This Billie Eilish Power song, that's a bad song.
And a bad video.
And a bad
it's
video
just in the desert.
In a canyon, yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about Olivia Rodrigo.
Okay, yeah, let's get into this then.
Okay.
You're right, I forgot to take my notes on that. I don't quite get the appeal of her totally. Although, it did remind me, and we heard the song on the radio the other day too.
Goodbye.
No, I'm going in a little different direction. It reminds me of Justin Bieber doing, 'cause if you like the way you look that much. Like baby, that song, I feel like totally changed his trajectory. I can remember the specific road trip in Australia we took when that show was on. When that song was on.
I still love that song.
Right.
It's a jam.
And it was just like, it's not that great of a song. It's slow. It's not poppy. The lyrics are like not that special.
But it's like just angry enough.
Right. It just works.
And catchy enough.
So I think she's kind of zoned in on that. So credit to her. My thoughts though? Like, the guy made the right choice, I would say.
So did she. He sounds shitty in her songs.
He does.
But also, like, very obsessive.
Yeah. So that's one hot take. The other one is with Deja Vu, I think.
Yeah, the Glee part.
The Glee part is fine. It's the Billy Joel part that gets me. And I searched on Twitter, so it's not an original thought, but I don't know how the lyrics go exactly. But it's something like, he played Uptown.
I bet he played you Uptown Girl because I introduced him to Billy Joel.
Oh my god!
Or I was the one who introduced you to Billy Joel.
Like a deep cut of Billy Joel. Like, oh my god, let me play this record for you. It's, oh my gosh, you will be blown away.
Uptown Girl. It's not even a deep cut. It's like the
Piano
pop
Man,
radio.
okay?
It's the pop radio version.
Oh my god!
You know that I did that very awkward lip sync to Uptown Girls when I was like, in 7th grade, right?
Yeah, I mean,
peak middle school awkwardness.
I mean, I've always hated Billy Joel just because of
crimped hair,
how much it took over our group of friends in high school. It disturbed me.
But the problem with this is not Billy Joel. What's the problem here, babe?
Band kids.
No.
What? My musical taste.
Your parents' lack of musical education for you. Because I grew up listening to Billy Joel. So for me, I was like, cool, other kids like Piano Man. Because like for me, like road trips would be like Billy Joel greatest hits, sides 1 and 2.
No,
like
mine was Inca-san and Mary Chapin Carpenter.
Stop. And like all your dad's lesbian bands, Indigo Girls and what's that other one?
Cranberries and...
Yeah, so I really blame your parents because I think for you, you're like, the fuck is this shit that everyone's obsessed with, these old songs? Whereas, like, I mean, like, I was never as bad as some of our friends with, like, Styx and Meatloaf and, like, all of those ones.
My dad liked Meatloaf, so I'm glad that one didn't cross over that much.
Paradise by the Dashboard Light, though?
I couldn't sing that song if I had to.
The only version I've ever liked is the Glee version.
I've been to weddings and I've just kind of stood in the background and gone, this is a song.
It's very disturbing at weddings when they do the singing to each other thing, because first of all, everyone's related, but they're singing each other too. Like, it's your cousins and your aunts and stuff, but also, like, it's a very bad song. Yeah. He says he loves her just to get her to have sex with him, and then the end of it is, I'm praying for the end of time. I'm not going to break my promise to you, but I fucking hate you.
See, you're just such a lyricist. Like, as we know, I can't hear anything. You were telling me about Dawson's Creek theme song the other day.
It's been on the radio a lot.
You had all
and
these
it's all
thoughts.
about a guy from going back from war, and he has granddaughters, and it had nothing to do with...
Mary, why did you send me cocaine?
Funniest SNL skit in a while, which isn't saying much, but... Meatloaf was so disturbing that time we saw him in concert with that like 18-year-old girl, and he was like 60.
Man,
and
we went to several like mix fests where you would just get a range of stuff. I remember one time, I think I
Bryan
went with
Adams, Summer of '69.
That was outside. Yeah, I remember that one. Waited a long time for Matchbox 20 to come out one time. Bare Naked Ladies was fun, but yeah, you had some weird guests. I think that's my musical wrap up.
I don't even know what some of these.
One of my least favorite things is generational divide and conversation. And so everyone talking about this Olivia Rodrigo thing was like, oh my god, look at these Gen Z people who like think Billy Joel is like a hidden unknown artist. And like I get it that like people fall into different brackets because of the year they were born and how they come of age and stuff, but I hate boxing people into their generation. I hate that people are acting like Gen Z is because they came up with the shortened word cringy is like the first group of people to ever like be awkwardly grossed out by something, or
like to have like, oh, the Gen Z said side parts are out. It's like,
and Lin-Manuel is cringy now? Oh my god, nobody knew.
I'm twice their age. I can do whatever the fuck I want with my hair. But also, like, it ties into this thing of, like, that the stuff that younger people like, especially younger girls, is automatically dumb.
Yeah.
Like, this idea that, like, if 16-year-olds like Olivia Rodrigo, then there's no merit to it, and it's okay to make fun of it and stuff. Like,
You're saying in reverse?
I'm saying that the older people also have this judginess of like, oh, this young girl doesn't know what she's talking about, and like really, or just this assumption that anything a teen girl likes is like worthless, like the boy bands thing,
right?
Of like how older people would like be super judgy that girls like One Direction and whatever boy bands are hot right now. It's like, let them like a thing. I like Olivia Rodrigo. It's definitely very derivative. She obviously grew up listening.
A little bit repetitive. There's a lot of driving, a lot of red lights.
There's a couple that I like think it's the same song because it starts very similarly. She obviously grew up listening to Taylor Swift and to Paramore because really strong vibes of those two. Mm-hmm. But it's just fun to listen to.
Oh God, this should become a music podcast.
It's fun to just be like everyone was that age once. Sure. And was an awkward teenager who's like, stop telling me you enjoy being a teenager. Some parts of it are terrible. Like her first song, Brutal, is all about like, this kind of sucks. Like everyone keeps telling me that these are like the best years of my life. And like, I just feel awkward and like self-conscious all the time. This sucks. Everyone can remember feeling that way.
How does Sabrina Carpenter feel, do you think? She's probably doing fine.
She has a whole clapback song, and I accidentally listened to it because Spotify does the thing where, like, if you finish your playlist or your album, it automatically plays, which I actually love because if I just, like, have it on in the background.
For music, it's fine. For shows, I hate it when it tries
it's dumb. But if I was, like, cleaning my classroom and, like, the playlist ended and then, like, it started playing other things. But the lyrics of this song are, like, you're telling your side, I'm going to tell my side. You think I stole him away from you. It's, like, very specific.
She was a musical artist before Girl Meets World? What is she actually famous from? I never understand.
Some various movies and things.
Okay.
But she was also in other Disney shows.
I was going to say, was she like a Disney kid growing up?
Her and Olivia and the boy were all in High School Musical, the series. I think. Because it kept trying to play those songs on the Spotify playlist, and I was like, no, we're not going this far. Although I have been so depressed lately that I've been listening to Glee on purpose again. So that's where we're at, is sad Glee songs.
We're 24 minutes in, and we are like...
I also think that I'm going to watch Glee with the baby. Mm-hmm. Because he loves a good pop song. Music, and he loves a good pop song, so I think it would probably keep his interest. And it's probably about time for a rewatch for me.
Okay.
I don't even know what this means. What does WHM mean?
WHM.
Question mark.
Huh. You were really puzzled by it back then and more puzzled now.
White House. What? Work?
No idea.
What?
Okay. Do we want to do a quick commercial break and then we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff that we've watched and read?
Yeah, I just remembered another one that's on here, and I also have some upcoming things that are probably not even upcoming anymore, but...
Okay, I'll do the advertising while you sort yourself out. Okay. We actually have a paid advertiser on Book Digits now.
Yes.
BOOKDIGITS. tagsoundcloud2010tracks1072968055. He's only paid for 1 month, and we're going on month 3 now, so I'm not the best at, like, sending out bills.
We know that you're never the best at PR and marketing. That was always my job, and I, as forementioned on this podcast, have been so drowning in the end of the school year that I have not really been doing my job, but...
That's okay. We're gonna drum up some excitement because we have Book Digits 3.0.
I am very excited. A lot of things that I've been specifically badgering you about for years are coming into play. Some new search features that I've been bugging you about.
Yep.
Some new
It's
rating
not overpromise.
things.
Yep. Okay.
And some
that might have to be 3.1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least a few of the things I've been
brand
asking
new back
you
end,
about.
nice and speedy. Brand new front end. Gotta work on the mobile site.
But
maybe someday we'll build an app.
Some new options for viewing your lists that are really exciting.
It's pretty sexy, I think.
It's snappy.
Yep.
It's I like it. I've given some feedback. We've redesigned a little bit to make it a little bit more user friendly and a little bit more visually friendly.
Yeah.
If that's a word.
Yeah. So yeah, hoping.
What's our ETA?
I'm almost done with the desktop site, assuming it meets your standards when you test it this week. And from there, I think the mobile site's not going to be too hard because it's the same stuff, just in a different layout.
And also the whole point of this is that the layout is a little bit more smooth and a little bit less cluttered.
Correct. So yeah, I would say definitely by the end of the summer. I would say aim for August 1st.
Are you going to do that thing for the year-end thing that I mentioned too?
Well, we need to design it, but then it'll be ready by December 31st.
Okay.
We'll come up with something.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already signed up for an account, now is an awesome time to check it out.
It's free.
It's free. You can import your books from your book list from other websites like
I have
GR.
to rebuild that part. It's not going to be the most fun bit of this, but whatever.
You'll still be able to do that anyway, but you can do it now and get ready for some a new version.
Yep.
So do we want to talk about books first, then, since we're talking about
Sure.
books? One of my upcoming things was Akweke Emeze has a new book, but I think it's already out because that note was from so long ago.
I think it is.
It's called Dear Centurion, and it's a semi-autobiographical memoir kind of thing. But we'll save that because we're going to be talking about another one of their books a different time. So we'll save. There's been a whole controversy around it.
I'm curious about this. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll save that.
Okay.
So
what else have you read recently?
We have actually not read very many books in common recently, aside from one or two we're going to save for the podcast. I have been an awful reader, the way that my brain has been at this year, trying to be a teacher in this time, because I keep reading half of books, which is not me. Yeah,
that's weird.
Last year I did a lot more DNF, not finishing a book, starting and being not for me, and giving it up. This year I've done a lot more of I start reading it and I get distracted and then I just never go back to it, which is really, really indicative of the fact that my brain is not in a good place right now, because that is just absolutely not my style. So I have a lot of half-read books or books that I get from the library and I'm really excited about, and then I've been too much of a mood reader, and then I get excited about a book and I download it, and then literally 5 minutes later there's a different book I'm more excited about.
I'm just so jealous of your whole reading persona, babe.
That I enjoy reading.
I don't get any enjoyment out of it. I just purely go into it and go, what's the author going to do here? Okay, got it.
I don't get that. I don't understand how you still read when it's work for you.
Yeah, it's debilitating.
How do we make you like it more? You've started to read some trashier books that you've enjoyed more.
Let me talk through my books.
Okay, tell us.
I'll go back a little bit further even. Butterfly Lampshade by Amy Bender, who wrote the Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake.
Yes.
Weird book, a little disappointing, C+.
You're going to do every single book?
Night Watchman.
We're saving that one.
I can't talk about Night Watchman at all?
I guess we can.
It just won a Pulitzer. It's timely.
That's how you say that word?
I believe so.
It's not Pulitzer, it's Pulitzer?
I think.
Ugh.
I don't know. I believe that's the same group who gave their like fiction award to Bob Dylan one year, so I've like lost all respect for those types of awards. Night Watchman is a disappointing book.
You're supposed to love Louise Erdrich though, because she's
I love her
from
bookstore. Love her bookstore, and I'm sure she has good books. And I would try another one. That one's not a great book.
Love Medicine or The Roundhouse are her two most
Son of Good
famous
Fortune. When you decide not to read American Dirt, I would recommend that one instead. When No One Is Watching, Alyssa Cole trying to tackle, would be a good one to talk about within the Heights, trying to talk about New York City neighborhoods and gentrification. Some good ideas, some interesting dynamics, and then it turns gentrification into a huge conspiracy at the end, which I thought was very damaging to the whole discussion about the system and the dangers of the evils of the system.
You told me not to read it though. So
no, you shouldn't read it.
You said I wouldn't like it.
The New Wilderness. Good God, Diane Cook. Grade D. One of the worst like post-apocalyptic dystopian books I've ever read.
Okay.
And I've read some bad ones. It was the blurb for the book compares it to Miranda July, who is one of like the most uniquely voiced writers I've ever experienced, and this book is one of the most blandest, just like emotionless pieces of writing I've ever read. Home Before Dark, Riley Sager, was a lot of fun.
I just recommended to you their new book.
Siri, Who Am I? Talking about trash, like that was one to get through. That was awful. Grade D as well. Midnight Library. Good gosh. This book has, like, no joke, like 100,000 reviews on most review websites out there.
People were losing their shit over it on Bookstagram.
Great title. Nice cover.
I took it on and off my to-read list like 14 times because like 1,000 people would talk about how great it was, and then one person that I actually knew and trusted would be like, "Nah, this wasn't that great," and it was problematic with some of the mental health stuff.
We need to come up with a term for what happens in soul, because I'm noticing it in so many pieces of media now, where it's like we're gonna tackle
in the Heights.
We're gonna tackle a serious thing, but we're also really forced to keep this to a 3-act structure,
and we're not going to give you any solutions.
Yeah, we got to get you to a kind of a false sense of a solution here.
We will ask all of these life purposeful questions and then just leave you with a bunch of trite cliches about enjoying your life and
food's
being
pretty
present.
nice. The wind can be nice. Good God. You said Matt Haig is like considered in internet places like a spokesman for depression and mental health.
Sure, yeah. He writes a lot about it. It's very open about it.
This book is damaging.
That's what I heard.
And yeah, I'll leave it there, I think.
Milk, Blood, Heat.
Milk, Blood, Heat, short stories, pretty solid. Some good, some bad, which is pretty standard in terms of these types of modern collections.
Finn Donnelly is the one.
Finley Donovan is killing it. I still have to write my review.
That was all over Bookstagram. I think they got sponsored a lot for that one.
I'm sure. You read the acknowledgments, and I get it. The author like came up with this idea at Panera, so the book is about a writer at Panera running into the situation, and I get it. Like, I have a Google Doc full of dumb anecdotes that no one else will give a shit about, and I'm like, that's gonna make a great book. This book is fine. The beginning is very funny, and you do get the sense of this is this overworked, overstressed out mom who falls into this weird situation, but then it turns into an organized crime story, and I do not care for organized crime. I don't like The Godfather. I'm just gonna say it. I don't. It's
never finished it. It's too long.
Never instills any sort of like real excitement for me. Like organized crime, this is not something we should glorify.
Is that why you didn't like The Town that much either on rewatching it?
The Town? I don't consider The Town mob based.
The
Flower Shop. Yeah. You're right. Sorry, I was thinking specifically about Ben and his group.
But I'm saying like that's the part that you don't like in The Town. It turns into like these people are forcing him to do this.
I would never watch The Sopranos. Like it's just yeah, I get it. They're bad. They have money, and you know they have plenty of assassins who they can hire. I don't get that as a genre of thing to be like, ooh boy.
It reminds me of that movie, a couple of different movies that we watched. The one with Gal Gadot,
That's what I was going to compare this book to. So Finlay Donovan, this book is exactly in the vein of
Zach Galifianakis and
of
Amy Adams.
that. Right? Who knows what that movie's called? That's a very generic title. And Game Night, and this new genre of movie where it's like, hey, we're suburban, we're normal.
And Flipped.
Yes, correct. Yep, we'll get into Flipped.
Yes.
Where it's like, yeah, we're normal, we're suburban. Okay, all of a sudden we're involved with organized crime.
And isn't it funny that we're a normal person and this is like we're
fish out of water with people getting murdered. Like, no.
I feel like I was going to do the opposite of, I was going to talk about books that I liked.
Yeah, I don't think I had any above a C on that list. I'm in a bit of a rut, except for Riley, that one.
I don't think you're going to love One Last Stop, but I'm going to make you read it anyway.
Yeah, I'm not really I'm not really her target, their target audience.
No, I'm not quite.
You gave like
a enough or queer enough for
half review.
I did. It
You say city enough?
It's one of those books where like New York City is a
character. We're gonna pair it with In the Heights.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have thoughts about New York City still.
Okay.
And barrios in general.
It was very warm and cozy. It was I didn't feel like all the pieces worked as well as they did in Red, White, and Royal Blue for me.
It happens in sophomore books. As long as it's better than Aaron Morgenstern's. Did I ever talk about that book? Good God, the Night Sky. What was it called?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking
about. The Shining Sea. The Night Circus. Her second book, Starless Sea. Yeah,
it's upstairs.
That's a bad second book. Yeah.
Anyways,
this is your section.
It was good. It did not blow me away.
Mm-hmm.
It tried to do a lot of things, and I don't know that it successfully tied them all together. I think some of the unique aspects were amazing, and some of the other parts were just a little bit disparate and didn't quite connect for me.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you should read that.
I think editors at publishing houses have tough jobs. I don't know how they do their job. I don't know when they give in to an author, when they like. And especially if you just have one editor. Like, if that one editor has a bad take, and they're like, you have to send the plot in this direction. Or
they're just not vibing with your work.
Yeah.
I guess that's why you have an agent, so you could go back to your agent and be like, this editor's not getting me.
Yeah.
The book that I really did connect with, that was kind of got mixed reviews on Bookstagram, was Honey Girl.
Mm-hmm. You like that
to
one.
The point that I like literally purchased it for a friend of mine and like shoved it into her hands, and I was like, you need to read this. That one and the third book in the Magpie Lords series by KJ Charles.
Oh boy.
Both, I read them at a very like critical time for me this year when I was thinking about quitting my job, or kind of, and not even thinking about it, sorry. I was coming to the realization that I needed to quit my job for mental health
And
reasons.
The Magpies helped you through this?
You don't even know what those books are about.
No.
So Magpie Lords, so KJ Charles is a like queer historical erotica author. And they are like the books I go to when I'm in a little bit of a reading slump, because I know that they will be really quick books, and they're like decently written enough. And they always have some sort of like happily ever after romance with some sex scenes. And it's just predictable enough that it's like a comforting read, and they're always like a very quick read. This one was, I guess, one of their earlier series, and it just, I don't know. When I read it last year, it just like was the first book I like actively enjoyed in a while. It was this awesome blend of like supernatural and like gay love story and historical drama mystery.
That does seem to check a lot of boxes for you, babe.
Very genre bending, or it ticked a lot of boxes of different genres, but it just all clicked together for me. Definitely, if you're listening thinking that sounds great, like just check the content warnings, because it is very rated R. So
what are you reading up in that bed of yours? Good Lord.
I usually read in our bed. Anyways, so there are some very steamy scenes in these, I will say. There's quite a lot of plot and like romance and historical world building around that. But there are some quite steamy scenes. So just
noted.
If any of my mother-in-law, grandmother are listening, just actually they read some romance shit anyway, so this would not be new for them probably.
All right, load up my Kindle.
Anyways, so the third one in this series is all about that even if I'm gonna like cry talking about it, like
Oh,
really, it's basically
What does
like,
the magpie do?
there's no character that's a giant bird, honey. So there's a character who's a magician,
Yeah.
and there's a character who is like aristocracy, like I forget what title he has, but he's like a viscount or an earl or some shit. So he's like a noble person in historical England. And then there's like the commoner who's the magician, and they end up like falling in love and
Bridgerton
having
needed
this
a
soul connection.
magician, man.
Yes, exactly. And so in one of the major plot points is that this magician is like a good guy who's like overworked and really undervalued in this position where
He goes on a murdering spree.
No, he's basically like a magic detective.
Okay.
So like if there's some sort of murder that has magic involved, he's the one who goes out and tries to investigate it. Kind of like Witcher. But nobody like gives a shit. Like it's kind of like the lowest on the totem pole of careers. Like the actual cops and detectives are like, you fucking magic people are weird.
Sure.
And then the more powerful magicians and stuff are like, who wants to run around the streets with the common folk trying to like solve magic murders.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this book is basically like, even if your job is important, even if you're good at your job,